If you've never gotten to experience life on the land, how can you decide if it's a career that might be right for you? I'm in Wairarapa with a group of about a dozen girls from the local high schools to learn more about how the Girls Who Grow program aims to get more young women into the primary sector. Today we're checking out a plant nursery, a nearby vineyard, and a dairy farm that's being converted to a sheep and beef operation. We're at Akura Nursery, just outside Masterton, to learn more about what they're growing from nursery manager Rachel Scanlon.
Garden bags that I mentioned, so go over your shoulders and then either side, that's where you put all your native plants. Climb up the hillside with your spade and get them all in the ground. It's a cool job, but a lot of work and planning goes into it. So I've got a little activity for you all. If you want to get into groups of 3 or 4, so there's a clipboard each. And this is our leaflet which tells our customers more details about our poles. Inside you've got poplars on the left and willows on the right. So you've got the species names, but at the top you've got what are tolerant to drought, possum and wind. So you've got excellent, average, poor, that sort of detail. And a little bit more there to read as well. So what I'd like you guys to do is you've got 2 sheets. One is a table. You've got zone 1, 2 and 3, which depicts what is on here. And you've also got some little laminates with pole species on them. So what I'd like you to do is, going by the leaflet, you have to choose which pole species you would put in zone 1, 2 and 3. And there's a bit of a little case study there about a farmer, and this is his land that he wants to plant with poles.
I sit down with some of the students as they get started on the exercise. Many of them here today don't come from farming or even rural backgrounds. Despite this, they're doing a mighty good job with the task they've been given.
We're kind of just having a look.
What kind of tree is a Vitellina?
Well, here it says...
Is it a poplar or a willow?
And is there a reason you guys have chosen that particular type of willow or poplar?
Yeah, well, it's not got a great tolerance to wind or to drought, so we thought it'd be best in a low area.
Where there are
and
constantly water.
Yeah, so that's why we put that one there. And then all these ones up here have like high tolerance to wind.
So you've put them up high.
Yeah.
Nice. And do you mind if I ask, do you guys come from farming backgrounds or have family who farm? No.
Yeah, town.
Are you guys studying ag stuff at school, or what made you want to get involved with Girls Who Grow?
Just like looking for what I could have a future in for careers. And,
I just thought, like a good experience and stuff, and I'm quite interested in like environmental stuff as well.
I'd like to learn how to like help the environment and improve it.
Do you guys feel like you're learning, that there are other opportunities? You don't just have to be a sheep and beef farmer or a dairy farmer. There's lots of different kind of jobs in the primary sector.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely like broadening our horizons. And also some of the mentors, was it last week, said that they like hopped careers multiple times, so we're not stuck with something for the rest of our lives.
That's certainly been the experience of Rachel Scanlon, whose journey into horticulture started with a love of gardening.
My name is Rachel Scanlon and I'm a nursery manager here at Akura Nursery, which is part of Greater Wellington Regional Council.
And Rachel, what was your experience like learning about agriculture or horticulture in high school? Were you exposed to these kind of career opportunities?
So I went to school in the UK, that's where I grew up. At the age of 14, I was very interested in biology and I also did Latin. So with Latin, it's a dead language, but it's also real prominent in the world of flora and fauna.
I was going to say, perfect for understanding plant species and genuses. And
So I was hooked from there on. So I sort of combined biology and Latin. My nan, my British nan, she was very much in love with flowers, and we used to play shops, like florist shops growing up with her. So that was sort of something that I think did resonate and was a bit of a little seed there that was sown. Always been very outdoorsy, always been fascinated with plants, absolutely adore them, and I'm very much an introvert, so
plants, way sort of more comfortable with plants than with people most of the time. Got my qualification at university, and then for my own career I've worked with the National Trust in the UK, worked at Wakehurst Place, which has the National Seed Bank, which is part of Kew Gardens. And in 2012 I actually set up my own nursery in the UK in Sussex. So I was growing wholesale for the sort of garden centre industry. And in 2019 I got an offer I couldn't refuse. A couple of brothers who owned a landscaping company in London, they put an offer forward to purchase my nursery, took the opportunity and emigrated out here to New Zealand. Pretty much with horticulture, there's so many different avenues you can go down, and you can be hands-on, you can be outside, you can be doing planning, you can be doing design. There is like so much to it, and my advice would be to just see what you want to do, venture out, get in contact with people, and just grow from there. Pardon the pun.
Girls Who Grow is a new initiative aimed at showcasing career opportunities in the primary sector to young women still at high school. Catherine Vandermeulen is one half of the team behind Girls Who Grow, which she and Amy Blake first launched in Otago last year as a pilot program. You'll hear more from Kath later. We head to Le Gras Vineyard down the road, where we meet Brian and Nikki Geary. They tell us more about the water race that sustains their business.
It runs through our property, and how it starts in Ruamahanga and it goes through about 56 properties, but we'll show you how we use the water. Bryce's going to turn on the frost machine so you can see what that does and explain the purpose of that. Then the girls that have got their gummies on, we might be able to try and find some coda and some eel if we're lucky, and see what the ecology's like in the water. How does that sound? Cool. And I've got some worksheets so you can write down, if you've got pens, what you find in the water race later when we go, not hunting, but searching.
So we're going to look at the frost protection first, I'm told, so we can walk through the vineyard. Along the way, if you have any questions about viticulture or grape growing or selection or anything like that, feel free to ask. I haven't studied it, but we've been running this for 5 years, and there's nothing to make you learn quicker than having a mortgage depending on what you do from morning to night, rest assured. It's much better than going to college, I think. Having that financial target to reach every month really puts you under pressure, and the learning curve is very, very steep. So we'll walk over to the water race. And as I said,
the theme underpinning each of these sites is the crucial role water plays in each of their businesses. Too much or too little, the girls have been tasked with finding solutions.
Should we just stop here and explain the weather system?
Yeah. This is the harvest monitor system. You can see it on the side of the driveway over there. You can see that on the silver box on the post over there. So that's the harvest monitor system. Any industry you're in now, the primary industries in particular, the technology is such a large part of it. The harvest monitor system is great. I love it until it rings my phone at 3:30 in the morning saying that it's 0.5 of a degree and there's a frost about to happen. So then I have to get my feet on the floor and get out and get the frost protection going. That said, it's a wonderful system, and you do sleep sound knowing that you're going to get that phone call at 0.5 of a degree to get you out there doing it. So, as Nikki explained, the buds are there. We get the water on at 0.5, forms the little water shield over it. Then the water turns to ice at 0. The air temperature can drop to -3.5, but inside of that little igloo of ice, it remains at 0. For those of you that know more about it than I do, I'm told that there's a kinetic energy formed inside of that little igloo again, and it actually brings it marginally above 0. So it's in the positive temperatures as opposed to the negative. We keep the water flowing on it until it's about 2.5 degrees in the morning. And when it's 2.5 degrees in the morning, then kill the water, and all the little igloos and the icicles melt, but the air temperature is high enough that there's no damage whatsoever done to the plant. Water is the safest form of frost protection, I'm told. Frost fans depend on the warm inversion layer, which is typically a minimum of 30 meters above ground, from 30 meters plus. So 3 types of frost. 2 of them have an inversion layer, 1 doesn't. If you're unlucky enough, which we were here 2 years ago, to have a frost that did not have the inversion layer, your frost fans are of no use to you because they're just circulating cold, freezing air, so you're doing more harm than good. Water will always freeze at 0. So water, as a result, is the best form of frost protection. That one that we had a few years ago, big vineyards were turning off their frost fans because of doing damage to the buds, whereas we were lucky enough here because we had water. We didn't have any frost damage whatsoever. Yeah, so that's frost protection, Le Gras style. As long as we have the water race flowing, we have permission from council and GW to take water from it for frost.
Our last site visit for the day is at a former dairy farm being transitioned to a sheep and beef operation by James and Katie Wyeth.
Hi, I'm Katie Wyeth.
I'm James Wyeth.
And we're farming at Koparonga, which is just about 10 minutes north of Masterton. We have been at this property for about three and a half years. We bought a dairy farm and we spent the last 3 years converting it back into a sheep and beef finishing property. Okay, so what you've got there on that front page is a soil map. So Greater Wellington have got a huge amount of resources that farmers can use. And they've got this really cool mapping program, and that is a map of the soil types that we have on this property. And so we are standing, if you want to have a look, we are standing, you can see just above the word Koparonga there's the shed. So we are standing in between, in this right down the bottom, in between these 2, there's the big pine trees there. Those ones there, okay? So we're standing just on this side of those big pine trees. The soil types we have, there's quite a few different soil types. They're generally been made with a silt because the rivers would have, over the hundreds of years, deposited silt here every time they flooded. So they've generally got a siltiness to them. A good way that we can have a look at our soils is by doing what's called a visual soil assessment. And this helps us to make decisions about how we manage the soil from a stock point of view, when we graze it, with what type of animals, those kinds of things. So what we're going to get you to do is have a look at these different soil types. Now this one here in this black bucket, if you have a look on that soil map, it's from this blue one. It's a real silt. So this is actually a bit that goes underwater. It's part of the farm that floods because it's really low, but because it floods a lot, it gets a lot of silt put over it, so it's actually, the drainage is much better. And so we picked this up this morning, and you can just see, the grass species that it's growing, but can you see how the roots come right down into the bottom, and you can come over and have a feel of it. It breaks up easily, because plants need air as much as they need water and nutrients. So it breaks up, it's nice and friable, you can break it up easily, the water gets through it, the roots get through it. There'll be, I'm not sure if there's, because it was underwater, whether there are many earthworms in here. Compared to this soil, which is the one that's actually a similar soil to this one here we dug up, it's actually a similar soil type, or the same soil type to this, but this is completely different. So you can see the colour is different, the feel is different, it doesn't break up as much. Can you see the, just like the rusty bits all through it? That's basically rusting because it hasn't got enough air in it. You girls can grab a spade. If one group stays here and has a dig here, and you can compare it. So on your pages behind the map, there's a scorecard, and for each of those scores, there's some information behind and some pictures where you can compare it and give it a score of 0 to 3.
There's been a recent drop in the number of students looking to the primary sector. At the moment, just 6% of school leavers are entering the industry. with women making up just over 30% of the workforce, it can be especially hard for younger women looking to enter the field. Katie tells me she's especially passionate about seeing the next generation of women coming into the sector.
I love getting involved in industry stuff. I mean, the industry's been really good to James and I, and we just see so many opportunities. And we've also got lots of problems and challenges to solve too. And the younger generation, you know, they're going to be such an important part of fixing some of our problems and taking our sector into the future. So I think it's really awesome. And I've had a lot to do with the Agri Women's Development Trust and, you know, getting more females. I know when I first got into the industry after school, I was a sales rep and someone said to me, oh, how are you going to be a female driving up that driveway? And now it's just so different and I'm stoked it's different. But yeah, how about you?
No, I feel the same way. Our daughter's very keen on farming and we're she'd be sort of fourth generation farming for our families in the Wairarapa. So we'd sort of love that to continue on.
Do you think programs like this could help create connection between people who might not have considered those careers before?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, a lot of the girls here today weren't necessarily from a farm, so it was great to have them out and just opening their eyes. I think, you know, we've lost our connection. What was the story? It used to be only 1 degree of separation to a farm, or a lot of kids spent their school holidays on farms, and that doesn't happen so much anymore, and it doesn't take long to not understand how your food is produced. So, you know, providing these opportunities for some of these girls that might be interested but might not really understand what it's all about, just to, if you can, you know, light a little spark in there.
They love getting their hands dirty, eh?
Yeah, they love it. They love it. Even farmers love that. You know, you get them out looking at their water or looking at their soil or looking at their stock. Getting their hands dirty is 100% way to engage them.
It's been a day of discovery for the girls, including those we spoke to earlier from Solway College.
I learned a lot more about water races and like the impact they have on a lot of properties and stuff.
How many properties actually depend on those natural water sources to live or
and how they prevent frost affecting especially at the vineyard.
It was really cool seeing how they did that.
Yeah, like the natural solutions they use instead of man-made stuff. So
You guys mentioned earlier that none of you come from farm, you all live in town. Do you feel like you're a little bit more open to or interested in maybe going into ag one day?
I'm definitely considering it. Yeah, it seems quite fun and interesting. So.
I would definitely like to live rurally one day.
Yeah, same.
On a property somewhere.
Kath too was pleased with the day.
We've been on the Girls Who Grow on-farm lunch and learn experience, where we've taken the students from a number of the colleges in the region out to different places and spaces in their region. So we were at Akura Nursery this morning, we spent some time at Le Gras at the vineyard checking out their water race, and now we're here at a sheep and beef farm that was an old dairy farm and looking at their soil and looking at their water and natives and how all those things need to be considered in the whole ecosystem. We've just been particularly digging holes in the soil to learn about the different topography of the soil within one paddock, where there's sometimes low-lying water and different grass that will grow in those particular areas. Some of the feed that the animals won't eat. So just trying to support the students to understand different land use and how actually all those things can work collectively together. The learnings that we learned at Akura can be applied to this farm, where the learnings that we can apply from this farm relating to water can be applied to vineyards. So just how it all incorporates into one big healthy ecosystem.
And some of the students I was talking to earlier, they're not all from farming backgrounds. Some of them live in town. I suppose as this, Girls Who Grow realised, having students from all sorts of different backgrounds on farm learning about the primary sector.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's more than just the primary sector. Agriculture is not just about farming. Farming is one component of agriculture, and being able to open their eyes to lots of different industries that could be connected. They could move into a career that's relating to soil. They could move into a career relating to ecology or genetics or water or, the technology to understand the soil and the water. There's so many different opportunities for students, and really our role is to showcase all of those different things and to connect them to the land, whether they're living in an urban region or whether they're living out on a farm. How important it is for us all as human beings to connect back to the land.
Catherine van der Meulen of Girls Who Grow, ending that story. Their next event is at the Future Pathways Expo in Horowhenua, and the program will be rolled out to more Wellington schools early next year. I also spoke with Rachel Scanlon from Akura Nursery, Brian and Nikki Geary from Le Gras Vineyard, James and Katie Wyeth, and some of the students from Solway, St Matthews and Kuranui College.